You gotta give me one thing. I'm a scary judge of talent.
Adolphus Washington back-to-back plays.
The Detroit Pistons select Luke Kennard from Duke University.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Triple Double Podcast. As we hyped on Twitter, we have a very, very special guest here. Triple Double Podcast is moving up as we have a coaching staff member of the newly crowned 2018-2019 NCAA Tournament champions, University of Virginia. We've got Coach KG, Kyle Getter. Coach, what's going on?
Corey, how you doing, man? Great to be on your podcast.
Like I told you, before the show, we appreciate it. We know how busy this week is, and there's a lot of celebrating to be done, a lot of adrenaline probably, but eventually you guys are going to get tired out, so I appreciate you taking this time. Before we go into anything, let me give the rundown real quick. Coach Kyle Getter, Director of Recruiting and Player Development at University of Virginia. This year, in his first year on staff, the Cavaliers won 35 games. As we said, they won the NCAA championship on Monday. If you're listening to this, you probably already knew that. Prior to joining Coach Bennett's staff at Virginia, Kyle was an assistant coach at Liberty and has also worked on Division I staffs at Radford, VCU, Marshall, Wright State, and Dayton. Coach, you're a native of Dayton, but you've been just about everywhere in Virginia and Ohio,
huh? Yeah, pretty much. I think when I came to Virginia, people were giving me a hard time and asking me if I was trying to set a record for how many schools I've worked at in the Commonwealth. But, I've been in Virginia, came here in 2008, and have been here since.
I had no idea how big Virginia was until actually Jason Morrow sitting right here and Zach Flair, 270 Hoops, and I went to Boo Williams. And when you drive through that state, that's a big state. So a lot of Division I schools, and you probably know it as well as people who've lived there their whole lives, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt. Virginia, it's definitely, different throughout the state. I think, you have the mountains in one area, and then you have the Richmond, which is the capital, is right in central Virginia. And then, over on the coast, you have, the beach over there by Boo Williams and that. So definitely a big state, but definitely a state that loves their basketball. And, I've been fortunate enough to work at some schools in the state who are very passionate about it.
I tell people Hampton Roads, I've been to Boo Williams either 2 or 3 times. Hampton Roads, if you're just looking for a vacation spot, and I've never been there in a non-basketball capacity, but beautiful, beautiful places right on the water, nice people, you can get a lot more bang for your buck than you could somewhere in South Carolina or Florida. So anybody who can make it out there should definitely give it a try. But let me ask you this, Coach. Last summer, I ran into you in Louisville, and you told me you like the podcast. It's part of the reason we got you on today. We always try to take care of the few people who listen to us. And we talked about you were still at Liberty. And then beginning of this season, I was looking online and I saw that you were at Virginia. You were in this new role, Director of Recruiting and Player Development. So just kind of tell us about how that all came about and, what is your day-to-day role with Virginia?
Yeah, sure. No problem. So, I remember that well, seeing you and Morrow both in Louisville, visiting with you guys, watching the AAU games there. So in 2008, when I first came to Virginia, Richie McKay was the head coach at Liberty. And, he's actually been the head coach there twice. So he hired me, and I was on his staff for 1 year as an assistant coach, and we had great success. We won 23 games. We had Seth Curry, the little brother, who's now, having success in the NBA. We had him on our team as a freshman, and had a great year. So that brought me to Virginia. And then that spring, Coach McKay is very close with the Bennetts. Dick Bennett was his coaching mentor, and Tony Bennett was one of his closest friends. So Coach McKay actually left and went to UVA as the associate head coach when Tony got hired at UVA in 2009. So long story short, I went to VCU and then was at Radford and then back to Liberty in 2015. But, that was definitely a connection for me with the Virginia staff, was having worked for Coach McKay for, twice in 2 different stints for a total of 4 years, and just, being able to get to know those guys. And so the opportunity came about in August, and Coach Bennett offered me a position, director of recruiting and player development, and I jumped at it.
So what's your day-to-day role? And when we say player development, what are we talking about, and what do you really do from a recruiting standpoint?
Yeah, sure. No, that's a great question. So, really my role is, just to serve the needs of our coaches and our players. And, that's kind of all encompassing. So, I kind of have my hand in a little bit of everything, from organizing the recruiting and working with our assistant coaches and deciding who we're going to see, and, kind of helping them arrange their travel and all the logistics, and, maintaining our recruiting list and depth chart and things like that, to help and organize official visits and unofficial visits. And then really just, trying to take as much, as I can off their plate, so they can really just concentrate on the evaluation and, relationship building part of that. And then, the player development, just, try to spend as much time as I can with our players. I'm a big relationship guy. And, with Tony, with his program, having Coach Bennett's program being built on 5 pillars, really a lot of those pillars are lived out, from our staff and our players, and just try to, have as strong a relationship as possible with our players and help them develop to become the best version of themselves.
Well, that certainly makes sense. And I think one thing I noticed with Virginia players from top to bottom is they really handle themselves well in terms of just the media scrupulation, that goes with the Final Four. And that's certainly, I'm sure in some part thanks to what you've been able to help them with. So I want to talk about the run you made, obviously winning the national championship is what everybody wants to hear about. But I want to start it with this little caveat, which is this. I am not a believer in the storyline pushed by CBS, ESPN, everybody about worst to first, because they lost last year to a 16 seed. That sucks. They were still the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. DeAndre Hunter doesn't play because of injury. Still an unbelievable season last year with 17-18. Unbelievable season. So calling it worst to first is crazy. But that being said, when you got to Virginia and heading through this season, through the beginning, before the first NCAA tournament game, you guys still had that monkey on your back with being the first to lose to a 16 seed. You still had that monkey on your back where there was a lot of critique of, can Coach Bennett win in March? Can Coach Bennett's style of play win in March, and all that? So, obviously it wasn't a distraction based on the success you guys had. You were able to avoid it. But, what was the whole kind of atmosphere like around that situation?
No, that's a great question. So, when I get there in August and Coach Bennett had already been, laying the groundwork, we were on a united pursuit. And I'm sure you probably heard that phrase used through the media, but, we were on a united pursuit. And we, starting all the way back in our preseason workouts, we were just, I think we had something to prove. And it certainly was talked about, the loss to UMBC the year before. And Coach Bennett, he had a great line, and he said, if you use it right, and he was referencing the adversity, it'll be a ticket to take you to some place that you've never been before. And it was certainly something that was talked about, and we wanted to pursue a championship together, and to be able to win the ACC, and then go on and have a really hard-fought game against Gardner Webb in a 16-1 game, which we were down by, by as many as 14 points, and to come back and win that in the first round, I thought it just showed tremendous resolve, by our players. And I think it just speaks to their character because, there's a quote that when adversity hits, it kind of, introduces a man to himself. So, our guys, we had tremendous leadership from players such as Ty Jerome and Kyle Guy and Jack Salt. Those guys kind of rallied to, hey, like, we're fine. And there was a sense of calmness from our team. And then, from there, I just think, we were fortunate to be able to continue to play well and win the championship, on Monday night.
Well, that quote is actually something I had written down, and I saw it on Twitter. Kurt Stubbs had retweeted something that had it, and I saw it from Kyle Guy, who said it, and obviously quoting Coach Bennett. Then I wasn't sure what the origin was. It said, if you use adversity right, it will buy you a ticket to a place you couldn't have gone any other way. And when you suffer a loss like that, and you bring back, a lot of key pieces, that loss is going to stick with you one way or the other. And again, I told you I'm not a believer in that having defined your season, but it's still a big moment in college basketball. And you're either going to sink or swim. You're going to respond one way or the other. And, your kids certainly chose which way to go, and that was to swim. And, in doing that, they obviously did it together. And that was one of the things you have to do to win a national championship, is have multiple guys who can make big plays. And, looking at this, so in the Elite Eight, you guys are down by 3 to Purdue with 5 seconds left. Diakite ends up hitting the buzzer beater to send it to overtime. You guys win in overtime. Final Four, you're down 4 to Auburn with 17 seconds. You guys end up having Kyle Guy's free throws for the win. National championship game, you're down 3 to Texas Tech with 12 seconds left. DeAndre Hunter hits the big shot. Go to overtime, you win that game. Down but never out seemed to be your guys' theme in these 6 games.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you referenced a different person each game, and I think that just speaks to our team, is we've had, the unique thing about our team is no one really cares who gets the credit as long as we have success. And I think that was evident, each game, each night out, we had a different guy really step up. And one guy in particular who stepped up was Mamadi throughout the entire tournament. And I was so happy for him to be able to have that success. And, especially in the Purdue game, and Kihei Clark as a freshman to have the poise to make that pass off the missed free throw to Mamadi to make that last second shot to send it into overtime against Purdue was just tremendous to see.
And he was tremendous all tournament. And I tell you, I saw you guys a couple times at the beginning of the year, and I don't know if it was just his hair was different and he didn't stick out, or if he just wasn't playing as much. But watching you guys last year and watching you guys at the beginning of this year, I remembered more of Jack Salt. And then as the year goes on, obviously Diakite becomes a huge impact player, and maybe he already was, and I was just missing it. But what I wanted to say about the Jack Salt kid is you could tell his minutes are not what they used to be, but he looked like such a great teammate on the bench. You could just tell he was one of the leaders of the team. And, you guys, maybe he doesn't have a great stat line in any of the tournament games, but he's such a huge piece of what you guys did.
Yeah, no doubt. Jack was our leader, fifth-year senior, and, had started the majority of the year. And Coach had, had changed some starting lineups throughout the year. And a lot of it, to be honest with you, was really just dependent on, the personnel of who our opponent had, for matchup purposes. And, I think that just speaks to Jack's humility, and being all in for the team. And, he was cheering so loud on the bench. And then when his number was called, he came in and got some key rebounds. I thought he was really, crucial to our success against Auburn with his ability to screen and hedge on the ball screen, and his alertness and his voice was just tremendous throughout the whole year. So we're certainly going to miss him. His leadership has been superb.
Another thing that Coach Bennett said Monday night after the game, and I think it speaks to what you just talked about with Jack. I think it speaks to what you talked about with the ups and downs of the NCAA tournament, and how you kind of just have to stay focused and stay together, and you have to be able to overcome so much adversity to win it. And it also speaks to the media distraction and how much the situation last year was amplified. Coach Bennett said that he played a song in which the lyrics were, "You're never alone in the hills or the valleys." And listening to him on the podium on Monday night. That was the quote that really stuck out to me the most.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable song, and we played it for our team, and certainly there's ups and downs in every season, but there's a certain bond, I think, that when you have some adversity that is created among the people who experience it. And I wasn't there last year, but fortunate enough to jump in and just latch on and be a part of this group. You could see the connectivity and togetherness of the group, and that's one of the pillars of Coach's program is unity. And you could see it, you could see it all year. And, to know that, now those guys have even, another special bond to be able to, have win a national championship together was awesome.
Well, now you're enjoying the fruits of the labor. Getting there is obviously the difficult part, but it's the part that you're going to remember. And I'm a big believer in the kind of basketball coaching philosophy, which is don't teach them plays, teach them how to play. And you certainly see that with the way that Virginia runs the offense with the whole blocker mover, whatever you want to call it situation. But when you look at the efficiency, and I'm not the biggest statistical guy, but when you just look at the NCAA rankings in terms of offensive and defensive statistics, to get to where Coach Bennett has gotten the Virginia program, not just this year, but consistently, I assume it has to take a level of meticulousness that we can't even imagine. So, day to day, he certainly gives kind of more of like that Jay Wright, laid back type of vibe in terms of in the media, but how meticulous is he on the court every day just working with the guys?
Well, yeah, Coach Bennett is one of the best. He's, it's been an unbelievable learning experience for me, to be able to watch him in action, just this season, and his attention to detail is off the charts. And I think, having played in the NBA, he played in the NBA and was a great player, played for his dad at Wisconsin Green Bay. I think, he's able to really relate to the players, and kind of see it from both perspectives, kind of from their side, along with, him being the head coach, and his ability to communicate is phenomenal. He's constantly talking to the guys and always trying to find a better way. And, I'm just so happy for him to be able to win a national championship, and he took over, 10 years ago at UVA and now to win a national championship. And that's just awesome. It was awesome to be a small part of it.
Well, you can be as meticulous as you want, but you're only going to be successful on the level you guys are successful on. And, in addition to the NCAA success, you've got the ACC success, which is honestly just as impressive when you look at how brutal that league is and some of the recruiting history that, the Duke and the Carolinas have, and maybe Syracuse and Louisville's going to get back to that point. And you guys have been so successful there, but you've done it with some different guys. And obviously they're guys that fit the system in terms of the way he wants to play offense, in terms of the way he wants to play defense. And I think there's a couple interesting things to talk about with the recruiting at Virginia, which is there's a little bit of well, they don't have one-and-done guys. You don't. You didn't have any one-and-done guys. However, the guys you brought in are certainly top 100 level talents. Not all of them, but, a lot of them, Jerome, Guy, Hunter, are very coveted prospects. So how does Coach Bennett go about, evaluating and choosing who he wants to recruit with the understanding that if he wanted to, he probably could target guys who are one and done that are just going to be there for a year and just want to get to the NBA. But it seems like his approach is much more, we want guys who are going to be here for Virginia more than just being there for themselves. Yeah, no,
it's interesting because, I think Coach Bennett said in his time at Virginia, he said two McDonald's All-Americans, and that was Justin Anderson and then now Kyle Guy. And so, I think one is he recruits, tries to recruit, the best player he possibly can, but, that's kind of like the price of admission is the talent. I think he also is looking at other things, and he's really trying to recruit 5-star character. And, I think the character allows guys to kind of be a part of something bigger than themselves. And, and I think that's been evident this year, I reference Jack Salt and Kihei Clark and Mamadi and those guys, they were kind of in and out of the starting lineup. And I think, that their character and humility, just allowed us to keep going with no setbacks, no distractions about who's starting, who's not, because, they were all in for the team. But, I think, we do recruit a little different. And I think, a big part of that is coach just wants to build a program that will last. It's just, we don't really, want to be, a one-hit wonder. We want to be able to, be a program that every year we're competing for an ACC championship and trying to have success in the NCAA tournament.
Another guy I think you didn't mention would be Braxton Key. And I remember when he was young and I was working for Rivals, he was a top 50 name, maybe even higher than that at times. And he's another guy who is a huge, huge piece of your team, but he's a role player in a spot where, there's certainly guys who are of his talent level, of his hype level coming out of high school that would not have bought into a role.
No, Corey, you're exactly right. And I think, that was evident in the championship game. Braxton came in when we needed some size, and man, did he performed at a high level. He was, he and DeAndre kind of were both guarding, Jarrett Culver at times, who was a phenomenal talent. And, Braxton gave us some huge minutes. I think he played, 27, 28 minutes in that game and, had 10 rebounds. And, made 2 huge free throws down the stretch to help ice the game. And, he did whatever was asked of him. And, his versatility to be able to play multiple positions. I mean, we played him at, I think, 3 positions all year. So, his basketball IQ allowed him to do that and know the role that was required of him. So, yeah, I mean, he was just being able to add him to our team this year was huge.
So I want to ask you one more thing about recruiting, and that's this. So, back to my Rivals days, I was generally dealing with top 100 kids, often 5-star kids, and you ask them the same few questions to do your articles, and they always give you literally 90% of them give you the same answer, which is, I want to play fast, up tempo. I want to play kind of a spread out offense, dribble drive type of thing. And, it's the most overrated thing to say in recruiting because almost nobody plays like that. And at least teams that are successful, at least teams that are on the high major level. And that being said, you guys still, for as great as you guys are, I mean, you come to Virginia, you're going to win. You're going to get a lot of great things. One thing that you're not going to get is pace of play. And, I would have to assume that whether it's in your league, whether it's just regional among other, elite college basketball programs, that you guys have to face some negative recruiting. Let's say you guys are recruiting a power forward, and I would have to think other schools are telling them, well, you can go to Virginia, but all you're going to do is be a screener.
Yeah, people may say that. To be honest with you, I really don't know. And but they can say what they want. I think the proof is kind of, if you look at the success that Coach Bennett's been able to have, with just, you speak about efficiency. And, I think this year on Ken Palm, I think we were number 2 in the country in offensive efficiency. And so, there may not be as many possessions, but I think a lot of that is because of, the style of play that we use defensively. We try to make people work and try to be hard to play against. So, but yeah, people can use what they want. We're definitely gonna, try to sell our style of play, and that's all we can really control.
And that yields results. And then when you take guys at the talent level that you have, Guy, Jerome, Hunter, Diakite, so on, you've got guys that are so game ready, even for the next level. Obviously you got character guys that are going to be fine without basketball. But if, basketball is what they want to do, and you obviously have plenty that will, they're going to be so ready to adjust to the next level of professional, to handling the professional process day in and day out. Because of that, I think you got plenty of guys that are going to make money playing professional basketball, whether it ends up being the NBA or another level. And, ultimately that is the goal of most of these kids. And it's different from the way that, John Calipari might do it at Kentucky, but it's, been equally successful in terms of the end results.
Yeah. And, a picture comes to mind of you just saying that. And it was amazing to see, the guys that have played for Coach Bennett come back and come to the championship game. Justin Anderson and Joe Harris, who, won the 3-point contest, who's having a great season with the Brooklyn Nets, and London Parantis, Devin Hall, Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, those are just some of the recent guys. And, those guys really right there, I mean, those guys are the bricklayers. Those guys really helped build the foundation, of the program when Coach Bennett, came here. And, we're going to try to get guys that will continue to build on that foundation to keep taking us to the next level each and every year.
Well, and Coach Bennett's probably going to give you guys a couple days to celebrate, but you're director of recruiting, and that never stops, right?
Yeah, every day, Corey. You know that.
Absolutely. So the last thing I'll ask you is this: most of us don't ever get the chance to accomplish something like this, and all that goes with it. So what's the plan for the next few days for the coaching staff and the players and everybody associated with Virginia basketball?
Well, it's funny because I hadn't really slept a long time, but I was telling my wife I can sleep in May. April is a huge recruiting period. We got the live weekend coming up, and then obviously there's recruiting days throughout the month. So, just trying to make sure, we're organized and, trying to continue to build upon this year and really just continue to spend time with our players and help them get better, through skill development. And, but yeah, we're certainly going to enjoy it. It's been amazing, and the amount of support, throughout the state of Virginia and has been phenomenal. So yeah, it's, looking forward to getting back to work and trying to continue to move this thing forward. Yeah.
Well, at the same time, you got to take time to enjoy it because, we just talked about how many those last 3 games and how they each come down to, one bounce of the ball and one bounce of the ball the other way. We're still having this conversation about a great season, but, not a national championship. And, the way the ball bounces, you might not ever get back there. Maybe you will, but, you got to take time to enjoy it too. Yeah,
no doubt.
So, okay. Well, Coach, I know you're busy. It's, still Celebration Week, whether you want to admit it or not. So we'll let you get to it. Yeah. So want to thank you for coming on. Appreciate your time.
Corey, I appreciate you so much, man. As a guy from Ohio, I think I speak for many, just the job that you guys do. I know you and Morrow, I think the podcast is awesome, and I listen to it as much as I can. And, I think what you do for, the prospects there in the state and just, getting their name out and, speaking to college coaches and really appreciate all the information you provide. You do an outstanding job. So appreciate you.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach. Well, guys, that was Coach Kyle Getter, Director of Recruiting and Player Development for National Champions, University of Virginia. For Jason Morrow and Corey Albertson, that was the Triple Double Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by PlayEasy.com. For players, coaches, or casual athletes looking to book a sports facility, as well as owners and managers of sports facilities, PlayEasy.com is the new one-stop site for streamlined services. If you're looking for a place to practice, play, host your tournament, camp, or other, simply go to PlayEasy.com and create a booking request for your area. Your request will go out to surrounding facilities who will respond with their best offer. Once you receive the offer that best fits your needs, book the facility and you're ready to play. For facility owners and managers, PlayEasy puts the power in your hands to maximize the usage and visibility of your facility. Register your facility for free today at playeasy.com. PlayEasy.com is the booking site built by athletes, coaches, and facility managers, and is proud to help bring you the Triple Double podcast. This podcast is also brought to you by Anago Cleaning Systems. Are you tired of struggling in a dead-end job? If so, Anago Cleaning Systems has what you're looking for, an opportunity to go into business for yourself, but not by yourself. With franchising opportunities available for as little as a $2,500 down payment, purchasing an Anago franchise has never been easier. Once you own your Anago franchise, you're licensed to clean commercial facilities all around the greater Cincinnati, Dayton, or Columbus areas with the support of Anago's sales, quality control, operational, and accounting staff. Call 513-332-0033 today for your opportunity to be your own boss and grow your own commercial cleaning company under the guidance of Anago's proven and successful system. Again, call 513-332-0033 to learn more. With Anago, your future starts today.